Hello Internet, my name is Frank Baldwin aka Sandy Brushtail and welcome to another episode of Furry Fandom Stories, where I take a look back at my own experiences within the fandom. I like to comment on the more relevant topics floating around the fandom known as furry. You know, I would be lying if I said the fandom overall has been all wine and roses.
If somebody asked me if entering the furry fandom had enriched my life, I would answer, yes, of course it has. I'm more comfortable with my current life situation, I've met loads of interesting people, and I'm a lot more confident when dealing with people. However, for every friend, there's a dickhead. For every compliment about my face painting, there's a fursuit snob. I was thinking of a subject for this video. I was looking through other furry YouTube channels. I came across one by Artemis Wishfoot where he was talking about how furries have to live up to some harsh truths. And Mojira Strawberry made a video where he talked about his worst convention experience. Then I thought, that's something for the channel. But do I really want to talk about that? Do I really want to talk about my first con and what a personal nightmare it was for me? Then I remembered the reason I wanted to do this series, to tell stories of my experiences within the fandom, both the good and the bad.
For this episode of Furry Fandom Stories, I'm going to talk about the first con I attended, how it beat me over the head with these harsh truths, how it overwhelmed me, and in the aftermath actually made me think, fuck this fandom. This is my story of Confuzzled 2012. The year was 2012. London was gearing up for the 2012 Summer Olympics. Barack Obama was in the White House. The Rock and John Cena were clashing in their once-in-a-lifetime match at WrestleMania 28. The Toronto Maple Leafs had missed the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 7th season on the trot. The Mayan calendar had foretold that the apocalypse was upon us, and outside of Gloucester train station, a group of furries from the Gloucestershire area were getting ready to head off to their first convention. Before I go on, I just want to say this is not an attempt on my part to cause any drama. When I'll be mentioning certain people's personas, I'm going to be using letters and initials. And ever since Confuzzled 2012, things for me in the fandom have actually gotten a lot better, and I've made a good circle of friends. Also, I would like to talk about kind of like my standing with the Gloucester First group before the convention, and well, it is quite complicated, so I'll try and sum it up as best I can. Basically, I had a big crush on one of the regular attendees. I wanted us to be more than friends. She said, no, I have a boyfriend. Which led me seeking advice from a non-furry friend, and I ended up embarrassing myself. And from then on, I would have, let's say, a frosty relationship with a few people in the Gloucester First group. But, so, onto the convention itself.
Moving on from their previous venue of the Britannia Country House Hotel, Confuzzled 2012, their 4th anniversary, for fuck's sake, was being held at the Hinkley Island Hotel just outside Coventry. The theme for that year was Hollywood, silver screens, Oscars, that kind of stuff.
I had managed to carpool with Ritty and another fur who I'll be referring to as RD from here on in. RD was kind of like my mentor when I first got active in the furry fandom. He wanted to know more about why I became a furry, show me what the furry fandom was all about, taught me how to be a good fursuit minder, basic fursuit etiquette, and he also got me, introduced me to the Ranting Griffin. When I first got to the hotel, it was quite a shock to the system, going from a small meet where only 3 or 4 people suit to a hotel lobby where over 20 people are suiting. So after me and RD registered and checked into our room, he got into suit and I got into makeup, and we were just basically hanging around the hotel until the opening ceremony started. For Confuzzled 2012, the guests of honour, Coulson Granger and, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Mangusu, arrived with Brock via helicopter. As for the rest of the afternoon, there was an all-you-can-eat barbecue, and I had to go to the first-timer talk. So after that, I got back into makeup, and I want to show you a quick comparison to what I look like now compared to 2012. Here's now, and here's what I look like in 2012. That's good furry cringe. I was unemployed at the time, and I was on job seekers allowance, and I couldn't really afford any decent furry gear. And to be perfectly honest, I consider myself very lucky that I was able to save up for a residential pass. And remember what I said in my Confuzzle 2018 video? Even to this day, I still get odd looks from attendees that are like, not real furry, not real furry. Imagine that, but amplified by 100. Because when I was walking around the hotel, I could even hear like attendees saying snarky comments like, "This asshole cannot be serious." But I did manage to bump into a few other people who were body painting, and it made me feel a little bit better. I didn't attend the dances that night. Or any night. Because, well, I was in my I'm too old to go clubbing phase. So, after watching the Donuts perform live in the hotel bar and watching some guys play Rock Band in the gaming room, I just turned in for the night. So after breakfast, I was going through the convention schedule, thinking about what events I wanted to attend that day, and RD was saying to me, "Oh, don't go to that event, you should go to this one instead, you'll have a much better time there." But I put my foot down and basically said to him, "Yeah, but those are the events you want to go to. Why can't I go to the events I want to go to?" What the fuck is a Paul Pet show? During the day, I managed to catch up with Poker. Shout out to Poker, you're awesome. And as I was hanging out with him in his room, looking over the video footage I recorded so far, two friends of his roommate walked in, going over the dealer's den swag. And as they were talking, I couldn't help but overhear their conversation. "Hey, have you seen that twat walking around with the American football jersey and the face paint?" "Wrong sport, dickhead!" And it didn't end there either. After having to hear zingers like, "Nice face paint, mate, what are you supposed to be, a tiger?" Along with, "What's the matter, can't you afford anything decent?" Kudos to Poker for sticking up for me, but this was strike one. Anybody who attended Confuzzle 2012 will remember the Twitter storm that happened. Basically, a member of staff at the Hinkley Island became so annoyed with us that he or she took to Twitter to vent some disgust. The great thing about Twitter is, when you tweet, nearly everybody can see it. Including convention attendees. And the convention directors. And hotel management. From what I heard, it was dealt with internally and by the hotel manager himself, and I'd like to think that he gave his staff quite a stern talking to. After that, I went to Motorfurs, and it was nice seeing all the cars. And it was when I thought to myself, where's RD? Because RD was a big petrol head, and I thought he'd love this. So, when I went to the hotel bar to get myself a drink, I ran into RD, and he was chatting away to a couple of the regular attendees from my local fur meets. And I told him about the Motorfurs that was going on, and he said he didn't want to go. When I asked him if he was sure, he got a little bit short with me, saying he was having a private conversation and then told me firmly to go away. After the ribbing, I got in Poker's room. I needed company. I needed to be around people I knew. Again, there was a problem. The furs I knew didn't want to hang out with me. They wanted to hang out with the Popufurs they met on the internet. And when these people discovered that I was the face paint guy, they would take any opportunity to ditch me. And I'm gonna sound like a whiny little bitch, but this for me was one of the lowest moments in the furry fandom for me. Being at a convention attended by over 700 people and feeling almost completely alone. As for that evening, I did attend karaoke, and after singing my song, I did feel a little bit better. And that was when it dawned on me. I'm in a nice hotel with a fully stocked bar. I am going to get fucking wrecked. So, after more than a few drinks, I staggered back upstairs to my hotel room and just crawled straight into bed. Only to be woken up at 3 AM when RD came back from the dances. Unlike recent years at Confuzzled, where Bank Holiday Monday is officially the final day of the con, Sunday was the last day of Confuzzled 2012. It was also the day of the Fursuit Parade, and it was one event I was really looking forward to. When I had finished having breakfast with RD and a friend of his, I said, well, I'd better get back upstairs and get ready to go for the parade. RD then looked up from his breakfast, looked me dead in the eye and said,
Who said you were taking part? It's for fursuiters only. You don't have a real fursuit.
There was nothing in the con book about it being for fursuiters only. You know what? I have the Confuzzled 2012 con book right here. Right. Event scheduling. And I am reading from the con book here, and I quote, Fursuit Parade. Follow the yellow brick road. Cameras at the ready for the Confuzzled 2012 Fursuit Parade. Main stage, Sunday, 11 AM to 12 PM. Doesn't say anything about it being for fursuiters only. And nothing about it in the Code of Conduct either. But all this led to was...
You're not taking part. End of discussion.
Strike 2! After being told no fursuit parade for you, I decided I'd go down to where the fursuiters were meeting up to record a bit of video and take some pictures. And that was when another regular from the Gloucesterverse, Celian, shout out to Celian, you're awesome, came up to me and she asked, why aren't you in makeup? And I had told her about what RD had said to me over breakfast, and ooh, I feel if I could see under that fursuit head, I reckon she was furious. She said that she was going to have a serious talk with RD, and I said to her, look, please don't, okay? I share a room with him. I don't want any drama, or any more drama than it already has been. And that was when Celian said something very profound. She said, don't let anybody in this fandom tell you what you can or cannot do. And if you're coming to Confuzzled next year, I want to see you in the parade. It was when I was filming the parade that my camcorder batteries were starting to run low, and it kept shutting down when I was recording. Little did I know that this was bad for the SD card. After recording as much of the parade as I could, I went to the Meet the Charity panel. For 2012, Confuzzled were raising money for the Nuneaton and Warwickshire Wildlife Sanctuary, and they had brought along some of the animals they had taken in. I even got to pet the fox. I tried to record a bit more footage, and to illustrate how my camera was acting up, here's a clip from The Critic.
Come on, come on. Hey.
The camera I was using was a Vivitar 54-8 HD. It's a shit camcorder. No shake cancellation, the microphone is very poor quality, so the audio leveling is all over the place, no internal battery pack, and when you actually look over the footage, it looked like it was recording at 20 FPS. My Vivitar was giving me messages that the SD card was full, and after running into Poker and asking him to have a look over it, the SD card had corrupted. All of my video footage over the past 3 days of the convention, gone. Strike 3! Now you're probably thinking, wow, this con really wasn't going that well for you. Well, there was one silver lining. Whilst I was on my way to the writer's circle, I had noticed that there was a gathering of furs around a man in a white lab coat, and he was telling them a story. I was thinking, well, what's going on here? So I was listening to this guy for a while, and I thought, you know what, I'll take a photo of him, show it to RD, maybe he can illuminate me on who he is. But in the process, I did learn a little bit of fursuit sign language. For the rest of that evening / night, I had managed to find a few attendees I could socialise with. When I had gone upstairs to get back into makeup, I was on my way outside the hotel to the foyer, and I saw RD. He was talking to the guy in the white lab coat, and he beckoned me over going, Sandy, Sandy, come over here, come over here. Sandy, I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Uncle Kage. And I shook his hand, looked at him blankly and went, who? And at that moment I could feel RD's gaze slipping burning into the side of my skull as if he's saying, look, I know you had pretty much a shit time at this con, I'm doing you a favour. Uncle Kage then looked me up and down and said, you look very stripy. Well, I was wearing my Celtics basketball jersey at the time. So I spent some time hanging around Uncle Kage that evening and listening to his stories. And after a reminder that the Gloucester Firs did not want me around them, the night pretty much wrapped up from there. So, time for me to grade Confuzzled 2012, and despite a good last night, overall I'm giving the con as an experience a D+. And here's why. There were some good memories, and your first con you tend to look back on with rose-tinted glasses, but with everything leading up to, during, and what happened after the convention, it doesn't deserve any better than that. The positives? The hotel was great, it was nice. I met other body painters, I got to pet a fox, and holy crap, my first con, I met Uncle Kage. Okay, the negatives I have, first of all, the Twitter tirade, attendees acting like dickheads, my SD card corrupting, Furs who I thought I were my friends, didn't want anything to do with me, and a guy who I considered my mentor basically laying down this law he had made up saying you can't go to this event. But this was nothing compared to what happened in the aftermath. Again, if you were at Confuzzled 2012 and in my circle of friends now, you guys are going to be excluded from what is basically going to be a rant. But after my first con, I came to the conclusion that the furry fandom was full of the most rudest, nastiest, exclusionary, snobbish load of assholes I had ever met in my entire life. I attended my first local meet after the con, and I had noticed that some of the local furs who also went to Confuzzled were looking at me as if I had farted very loudly in the middle of a church service. It didn't end there either. One day RD rang me up and said he had been talking to quite a few of the Gloucester Firs regular attendees who were also at Confuzzled, and they had said that I had been such a nuisance to them during the convention that they kind of didn't want me coming to meets anymore. I go to my first con. I didn't know anybody, alright? I didn't talk to any of these popufers. I practically didn't know anybody. And normally I wouldn't let shit like that get to me. But after hearing it from a person you used to have a crush on, it made it hurt even more. And so, like a whiny little bitch, I took it to heart. And I didn't attend local meets for months on end. RD would ring me up from time to time and give me the gossip of what was happening during the local meets, and he said, oh, you should come back, fuck what these people say. But when I was working for Royal Mail over that Christmas period, I actually thought to myself, I don't know if I want to be part of this fandom anymore. But there were a few things that did change my mind. One of them was seeing apes on Russell Howard's Good News Show. Another aspect was talking to an old college friend who first introduced me to the furry fandom. I was talking to him over MSN. This was before Skype. And I told him about everything that happened to me during, up to, and after the con. And he said to me, what happened to you during Confuzzled sucked. But who are these people to you? And why does what they think about you matter so much? they don't know you the way your real friends know you. And if they don't want to know you, is that such a big loss? The final aspect that actually made me reconsider leaving the furry fandom was I remembered an old Adidas, whatever, Adidas commercial featuring Gilbert Arenas. For those of you who don't know, Gilbert Arenas is an NBA player who spent the first 40 games of his pro career on the bench. His coach would come up to him and say, "You're playing 0 minutes tonight." So instead of getting him down, Gilbert, he practiced and practiced and practiced, and when it came for his time to shine, he delivered. In his own words, and I am quoting from the commercial here, "If nobody believes in you, anything you do is a positive. It wasn't even about basketball anymore. It was about proving them wrong. And the reason I wear number 0 is because it lets me know that I have to go out there and fight every day." Too fucking right. I've had this jersey for years. It was kind of like my gimmick when I was a younger man, but after my first con, it's become part of my persona. And just like Gilbert Arenas, the reason I wear number 0 is because it reminds me that there are people in this fandom who will look down on you, and you've got to prove them wrong. And that wraps up another episode of Furry Fandom Stories. Remember, if you like this episode, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. If you have a topic you want me to discuss on the show, you can follow me on Twitter @SandyBFox and use the hashtag FurryFandomStories. I'm Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and I will see you again for another Furry Fandom story. What? Do I have something on my face?